Good morning, beloved. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Wanted to, uh, if I sound stuffy, I've just been dealing with some sinus issues for a few days. So just bear with me. We want to continue our work, right? Continue our work, and so we're going to. This is episode five, episode five of season two. Episode five of season two. We are moving ahead, and of course, this season we're dealing with out of Exodus. We're with the return to Egypt. This is what today we're dealing with. Episode five, season two, the return to Egypt, overcoming resistance and embracing divine purpose. Okay. In this episode, we're going to explore Moses' return to Egypt, his confronting Pharaoh, and the initial resistance to change. Remember that God sent sent Moses to return to Egypt to free his people, right? And we have some initial resistance from Moses, and so there's this exchange that goes on, and then there are these three signs that we covered last week. But also we know that God has hardened Pharaoh's heart. He's hardened Pharaoh's heart. Okay, so let's get into it. Again, welcome to Connecting the Source with Rev Stephon. I am your host, Rev Stephon, and as we explore Moses' return to Egypt and his confrontation with Pharaoh, it is the not the literal, this is a great story. This is a great story. They've made movies out of it. They continue to make movies out of it. But what we want to do is we want to touch on the metaphysical meaning of resistance in this spiritual journey, or the resistance to our own spiritual journey. I know that when I was called to ministry as a young person, I know that I didn't know what that meant, and it was scary, and so I resisted, and they call it running from your call. So I know that I've had I've dealt with resistance to the call. And then also, the call leads to, or leading up to the call, there is this spiritual journey, but this journey continues, for all of us. So, again, this is episode five, Moses' return to Egypt, confronting Pharaoh, and the initial resistance to change. So, as always, we want to make sure that we set up our safe container, that this is always sacred space. And so, as you know, if you've been with me for a while, we do that by centering ourselves, by being present, by concentrating on our breath, deep breathing, of course, okay? And, we want to also, again, open that spiritual eye, the third eye, the pineal gland. Okay, so sit, get comfortable wherever you are listening to this podcast. Get comfortable, center yourself. I want you to just concentrate on the middle of your forehead, right between your eyebrows. Right, we wanted to open our third eye. So concentrate there, and you may feel some tingling as we do this, right there on that spot where you're concentrating. So I want you to concentrate and see, or envision, or imagine a light. Imagine a light, or imagine a glowing orb in the middle of your forehead. Maybe it's for you it shows up as gold, it shows up as orange, it shows up as purple, whatever that it shows up for you. Just concentrate and imagine that you have this glow, you have this orb, you see this shining object in the middle of your forehead. So take a deep breath in, take a breath there you go, breathe in, hold it for a little bit, breathe out slowly. Okay, breathe in through your mouth. Breathe in. See that orb. Breathe out. It's shining with and getting brighter and brighter with each breath. Breathe in. Breathe in that goodness. Breathe in health. Breathe in positivity. Breathe it in. Fill up your diaphragm. Slowly breathe out. It's getting brighter and brighter and brighter. You see it. If it's spinning for you. And each time you breathe, it's spinning faster and faster and faster. Just go, breathe in goodness, breathe out the evil, those bad things. Breathe in, continue to concentrate. Breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. Breathe in, hold it, concentrate. Slowly breathe out. Oh, yes. So as we explore Moses' return to Egypt and his initial eventual confrontation with Pharaoh, I want to give the context and scripture, scripture and context. So in Genesis 5, verses 1 through 2, Moses confronts Pharaoh. Let my people go. Pharaoh responds, who is the Lord that I should obey his voice? This initial resistance reveals the pattern of transformation and the obstacles that arise when liberation begins. Let me repeat that. This initial resistance reveals the pattern. So it's a pattern, the pattern of transformation and the obstacles that arise when liberation begins. Right. So anything when you are used to a certain type of bondage, when you are used to being bound by something, there is an initial resistance as you move from bondage to liberation. There is a initial resistance. You've grown comfortable, and it is uncomfortable to move out of our comfort zones, even if those comfort zones are not good for us. Make sense? Okay, so here's the historical context. Remember, we wanted to add scriptural context as well as historical context to what we do. So there is the Egyptian royal court. The Egyptian royal court. So it is the Pharaonic, all right, the Pharaonic divine status. So I've said before, pharaohs were considered living gods. Okay, they were considered living gods, and so this makes Moses' confrontation particularly audacious, right? In asserting that there is a higher divine authority. Okay, now you have Pharaoh, who is looked upon by the people as a living God, and he himself, right, embodying this divinity. And now he's been confronted by Moses, who was raised in that environment, right? Now saying that there is a higher authority. Okay, so what are the court protocols and etiquette? So approaching Pharaoh required an elaborate rituals and intermediaries, making direct confrontation culturally shocking. So this makes for the people and the protocols and the etiquette that's involved. And remember that Moses knows the protocol. Moses knows the etiquette. Okay, so this makes the direct confrontation a shock. It's a culture shock. Okay, it's a culture shock. So then we have we look at how the royal residence, how it's designed. Typically, it featured multiple guard rooms, screening chambers, and intimidating architecture. Right, it's designed to diminish visitors. So when you come in, you feel, right. It is a physical feeling, that you are small. Okay, that there's all this grandeur that's as a part of the structure when you're coming in, that it these grand halls and all these different rooms and everything. So it's purposeful. right? It's purposeful to make any visitor, especially if it's a visitor from a different place, comes in, they feel immediately small. Okay, immediately. So this ideology of divine kingship. So in Egyptian theology, positioned Pharaoh as maintaining cosmic order, right? Cosmic order, or ma'at, okay? Making his decisions beyond questioning. You do not question the decisions that have been, have been put in place by Pharaoh. Does this sound familiar? You don't question what not only this leader, but a divine leader. Okay, but this is still a physical person that's in place that you cannot question their executive orders. You see what I did there? Okay, so this authority and how it's structured. So absolute power, absolute power. Pharaoh's word was divine law with no constitutional limits or appeals process. Okay, absolute power. Okay. Divine right rulership. We're getting there, right? That this is ordained. This leadership is ordained, right? This is the divine right. The authority derived from God's directly with Pharaoh as their earthly manifestation. So this is not just Pharaoh speaking, but this authority comes directly from the gods. Okay. Directly. So this is a mandate, a godly mandate, a divine mandate that in this human authority, in this earthly authority. Okay. So and in this as we continue with the historical context, there is this religion, this unity with religion and politics. Right? And we know in this country there's supposed to be a separation of church and state. However, we see that there has been this blending going on. It's sort of, we don't know the distinction because there is this Christian nationalism that is going hand in hand with these moves that's going on in this country. With we don't know what it is. I have an idea of what's going on, but this blending together, which normally how this country was founded, was supposed to be different. But as we tie it into what's going on in Egypt during this time, there is this religious and political unity. The Pharaoh headed both governmental and religious hierarchy. Okay, Pharaoh headed both governmental and religious hierarchy. So there is this religious and political unit, and then the control of the economy. This economic control, royal authority extended to all resources, with taxation and labor obligations enforced through the extensive bureaucracy. Okay, you see where we're going here. You see where we're going here. So then, amongst all of this, there is also these conditions. The conditions that the Hebrews are in, these slave conditions. So we know the construction projects, primarily building cities, quota systems, production requirements, regardless of resource availability. The living quarters, typically segregated settlements with minimal amenities and crowded situations, and then the social status, generational bondage created entrenched identity patterns and systematic limitations of opportunities. Yeah, I went there. It's social status, generational bondage, created entrenched identity patterns and systemic limitations of opportunities. Okay, so what are the cultural dynamics of this confrontation? The power differential. The extreme imbalance between slaves and Pharaoh made direct petition unprecedented. the religious implications. Challenging Pharaoh was challenging divine order in the Egyptian worldview. Okay, negotiation practice. Ancient Near Eastern cultures typically used indirect communication and intermediaries in conflict. Okay, and then as this is a public demonstration, the request for Hebrew worship in the wilderness represented both religious expression and a political statement. Yes, we're going. So this return to consciousness. So the main thing here is we look at and we apply a metaphysical lens to what's happening. There is this return to consciousness, leaving Midian, right? Leaving the comfort of Midian. So now Moses has spent time, he's gotten married in Midian. We know that he is leading Jethro as his father-in-law, okay, and it's Ruel and some other texts. But now he has to leave this comfort, right? He has to leave the comfort of Midian. The spiritual journey requires leaving established comforts. Moses had settled into shepherding and family life, representing how we often plateau in our spiritual growth. We get comfortable in our spiritual growth. This departure represents the courage to leave familiar patterns, even after initial awakening. So now we have this initial spiritual awakening, and we get comfortable. So it's easy to fall back into to patterns of comfortability, okay, even in our spiritual journey. But leaving Midian, leaving this comfort zone, right? The spiritual journey requires leaving an established comfort zone. So now he's gone, he's leaving, and he takes his family with him. Moses brings his wife and sons, showing the integration of all aspects of self in the spiritual journey. Okay, our spiritual journey requires all aspects, right? The whole self. This is holistic, right? And with a WHOL, holistic. Okay. See, nothing authentic is left behind in true transformation. Repeat that. Nothing authentic is left behind in true transformation. So this represents bringing your whole self, emotions, relationships, responsibilities into your spiritual purpose. Okay. And so we also know that in this initial resistance that he gave was that he wasn't eloquent in speech. So then God says that, your brother Aaron, he's already, the Spirit has already moved upon Aaron, and Aaron is now, on his way to meet Moses so that he can be a spokesman. So both of them are spokesmen, for God in this movement. So meeting Aaron, this reunion with his brother represents the unification of inner wisdom. Okay, Moses, right? Inner wisdom, the unification of inner wisdom, which is Moses, with expression and communication. That's Aaron, right? So this edict has been given to Moses. Moses resists, saying he's not eloquent of speech, and so now God says, okay, we're gonna unify. We're gonna bring together this inner wisdom Moses with expression and communication, which is Aaron. So this divine partnership shows how different aspects of consciousness must work together, right? Contemplation with action, insight with expression, and being with doing. Being with doing. Right? So this preparing for this confrontation must happen because God has said that we must tell Pharaoh to let his people go, let the people go so that they might worship him, right? Come in and worship him at the mountain. So gathering the elders, sharing the vision and signs, and building collective consciousness. So Moses, has first to Moses and Aaron convince the elders, okay, let them know what is about to transpire. transpire. The elders, the Hebrew elders as well. So this represents the preparation needed before major spiritual confrontation, gathering resources, building support, clarifying vision, and strengthening our resolve. Okay, so there is a preparation before confrontation. So now let's get into, again, we talked about historically how Pharaoh is viewed, right, as divine, and then basically the buck stops at Pharaoh. Okay, so there is this Pharaoh consciousness that has been hardened. This Pharaoh consciousness, the external authority resistance, right? Pharaoh consciousness represents external authority resistance. Pharaoh represents entrenched systems that benefit from limitation. Well, we're still going there. Pharaoh represents entrenched systems that benefit from limitation. Does this sound familiar? That we have this hierarchy. They benefit from imposing limitations on other people, limited resources, right? Limited access. So that's why the breaking down of things and the destroying of things and the reordering of things in this country, this is why this is going on, right? See, both in society and within our psychology, these power structures naturally resist liberation because they're invested in maintaining control. These power structures naturally resist liberation because they're invested in maintaining control. Okay, so that's the external authority resistance. But what about the internal resistance patterns? Right, so we know that there is things inside of that voice inside of us, that speaks to us. Those things that keep us limiting beliefs, keep us from enjoying the abundance that God has already put in place for us. These limited beliefs, they limit you from attaining the heights that you want to, that you're destined or that you have been purposed to attain. Right, so they keep you from utilizing your gifts that you naturally have and that have been divinely given to you. So these internal resistance patterns, Pharaoh within. So we say the enemy sometimes, INNER, the enemy is more powerful than the enemy, which is external. Right. So this Pharaoh within, we carry this Pharaoh within. It represents our internalized limitations, doubts, fears, habitual thinking, and comfort with familiar bondage. The comfort with familiar bondage. Often our fiercest opposition comes from within as we unconsciously sabotage our own freedom. Sometimes we are our worst enemy, right? Sometimes we self-sabotage, okay? So, and then there's a statement in the scripture that says, I know not the Lord, right? Pharaoh wants to know, as Moses wanted to know, who this person was, who this God was, who this Lord was. And so Pharaoh understands, the pantheons of different Egyptian gods. He understands that there are these heavenly gods and he's the earthly representation, but he says, I know not the Lord. This represents denial of higher consciousness and possibilities beyond current understanding. Where we are now, our current understanding, there are still things that we don't know. There's still things to learn. There's still things to embrace on this spiritual journey. So this knowing not the Lord represents this denial of higher consciousness. There is a higher consciousness, and some things have been, because of how the church has been structured, right, to keep us from attaining, even pursuing higher consciousness. Right? Pharaoh's statement reveals how limited awareness naturally rejects higher truth. Repeat that. This statement reveals how limited awareness naturally rejects higher truth until evidence becomes undeniable. So we know that there is this what's upcoming or these series, these 10 plagues, these different demonstrations of signs and wonders, okay, that has to take place. It has to take place because there is this natural rejection of this higher truth. There's a natural rejection from Pharaoh that there is someone or something or a God higher than him. And so there is this rejection until evidence becomes undeniable, because it becomes an undeniable truth. So now what happens is there is this increased burden, right? There now the slaves have to continue, right, with their production, but now the limited resources are further limited. So now there's this increased burden. After the initial confrontation, Pharaoh makes conditions worse. This represents how resistance intensifies before breakthrough. Oh, you need to write that down, right? This represents how resistance intensifies before breakthrough. So before breakthrough, right, the struggle gets even more intense. Before breakthrough, what we're going through, begins to seem like, it's going to be impossible to make it through, right? So before breakthrough, challenges often magnify when transformation begins, testing our commitment and forcing deeper resources to emerge. So when we stay steadfast, what happens is that now other resources, deeper resources, that resolve that has always been inside of us but has not been tested, begins to manifest. Make sense? Okay, cool. So there's this divine persistence. Okay, so continued purpose despite setbacks. We have to continue purpose despite setbacks. Moses experiences immediate failure, right? His sons, the magicians of Egypt, they come in to duplicate what he's done, and so the effect, the shock and awe, that he expected, right, sort of fizzles. So Moses experienced immediate failure, but maintains his mission. So you're going to fail. Businesses fail. Things you're going to fail. You learn lessons in failure. Failure is powerful and purposeful, right? So even when you run into failure, you have to maintain your mission. This represents spiritual determination that persists beyond initial disappointment, recognizing transformation as a process rather than an event. Signs and wonders increasing, the progressive nature of divine demonstration, starting small but growing in power and visibility. This shows how spiritual manifestation often begins subtly but increases in impact as resistance continues. Right? Working through messengers, the collaborative process between Moses, Aaron, elders, and divine guidance. This reveals how spiritual work often involves multiple aspects of consciousness and community support rather than isolated effort. We do not, we don't achieve, we don't accumulate, we don't grow, we don't do anything, in a vacuum. We don't do anything through isolated effort. So this whole foolishness that people say that they pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps and they did this and they're responsible for that's utter nonsense. We do not get anywhere. We don't achieve anything, through isolated effort. Okay, so there's this progressive revelation. Truth unfolds in stages. It unfolds in stages appropriate to consciousness development. So truth unfolds in stages which is appropriate to consciousness development. It doesn't happen all at once. There is a process. We must trust the process. The entire liberation process is carefully sequenced, showing how transformation follows divine timing and readiness rather than immediate fulfillment. What's going on that we have a lot of people who have a microwave mentality. And with that microwave mentality, they when they encounter anything, they encounter resistance, they tend to falter in faith. Okay, so this we must trust the process. Truth unfolds in stages appropriate to consciousness development. The entire liberation process is carefully sequenced, showing how transformation follows divine timing and readiness rather than immediate fulfillment. Oh, whew, that was a lot. But I hope that you did get the correlation. I hope that you do see how this Pharaoh consciousness, transcends time and can manifest in our leaders today. Okay, I hope you see that, and also that you gain strength. That that you may have we experience this resistance. We experience the limitations. We experience all these things, but if we stay steadfast, right? If we stay steadfast, if we come together, then we can we would soon be liberated. Right. So now, as we close, we're going to close with a brief meditation. We're still in sacred space. We're still in that safe container. So concentrate, close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, hold it, center in persistence consciousness, breathe out, feel divine purpose strengthening, breathe in, notice resistance without being defeated, breathe out, allow transformation to continue despite one deep breath in, hold it, breathe out slowly. Now, as a reminder, remember this week, notice where resistance appears in your liberation journey. Observe both external and internal opposition. Maintain divine purpose despite discouragement. Trust the process of progressive revelation. Until next week, remember, resistance confirms transformation purpose. Persist through obstacles. You are always connecting and connected to source. Empower your purpose. Embrace your journey and witness the extraordinary unfold. Peace, love, and light, beloved.